What is happening, everyone? The football therapist here, breaking down a second-year duo who I think could be an elite value stack going into the 2020 fantasy football season. That's Joe Burrow, that's Tee Higgins. Let's get to it. When we look at a lot of these rookies going into the 2020 season, there's a lot of concern for these guys not having that true offseason that they would start slow. And that's really what happened to both Joe Burrow and Tee Higgins, in my opinion. Both of them had some growing pains to start the year, but they really started to build a connection throughout the first 10 weeks. If we look at the stats for these guys, Joe Burrow was the quarterback 15 with 18.6 points per game. He had several top 10 performances, and Tee Higgins really was the guy that he was looking to throw the ball to often. 71 targets is a lot of targets for a wide receiver in a 9.5 week span. Now, Higgins was really good during this time, as well with Tyler Boyd, but Higgins looked to be the guy who was becoming sort of the alpha outside receiver, whereas Tyler Boyd was more of the slot guy. Higgins had 43 catches during this time and 4 touchdowns. He was the wide receiver 23, and he was averaging 13.9 points per game. All of those metrics from a young quarterback to a young receiver can be seen in an elite category. That target share is just incredible for a rookie quarterback to go to a rookie wide receiver. Now, there are some concerns for both of these guys going into 21. Now, of course, Joe Burrow's ACL injury is going to be an impact. When looking historically how quarterbacks have fared coming off the ACL injury, we see a little bit of a disturbing trend for some of these guys. RG3, he had a great rookie year, never recovered from his ACL injury. Tom Brady, he had an ACL injury coming off that 50 touchdown year, and then his numbers dipped dramatically in the year following his ACL injury. He was able to really recover, obviously, the following years, and he still showed elite traits, but the year following his ACL tear was a little bit of a down year for him. Sam Bradford had an ACL injury in 2015, and then he re-injured it again 2 years later. He never really recovered from that ACL injury, and his career kind of sputtered. Carson Wentz, he had a really tough ACL injury late in the season when he had that MVP type year. The following year, he had several injuries, and it really impacted his performance. And then lastly, Carson Palmer, of course, during that wildcard playoff game, he had one of his best seasons of his career. He had that ACL injury against the Steelers. The following year, his numbers dipped, and for several years after that, he never really was the same player. The only player that really showed an elite playmaking ability the year after his ACL injury was Deshaun Watson. Now, of course, Joe Burrow and his timeline for his healing of that ACL injury is going to be something to really look at this offseason. How does he rehab from that injury? Now, going into 2021, if there's any concern that he's going to be impacted by that, then this really impacts both Joe Burrow, but also Tee Higgins. Another big implication for this team, of course, is what do they do in the NFL draft? Now, right now, if I had to put it out there, I would say that the Burrow to Higgins stack is going to be one of my favorite late round value stacks going into 21, based on what they did in that 9.5 game window, based on the stats. But of course, that all can change if they draft a guy like Jamar Chase. Now, if they draft Chase, Joe Burrow's stock will go up, but Tee Higgins' stock will go down. I don't know if they will do that, but that's something to be concerned about going into this offseason. Let me know if you guys think that Tee Higgins and Joe Burrow will be a terrific value stack going into 2021 in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe.